Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mercury Black. I'm known as the lunatic because I'm bipolar. And yeah, I'm not just a little bit off. I'm mad as a hatter. So this video is reaching out to people who are feeling suicidal, seeing as how that is a growing problem in the world nowadays. From what I understand, life expectancy is actually declining in the West because of diseases of despair, suicide, drug addiction. So I'm reaching out because I've been there. Put it all together, years and years and years in everything from depressed and mildly suicidal to extremely desperately suicidal. And I'm not going to say it gets better, because said as a universal to people who are suicidal, it's bullshit, and bullshit doesn't help. Now, if you're suicidal, it probably gets better. It most likely gets better. If you're in one of these layers of hell, almost guaranteed it's going to get better. But I won't say it will get better. It might. And if you're suicidal, because there's a stage of suicidal that I've experienced where hearing that it will get better doesn't even help. Like, even if someone's wording it properly, it most likely will get better. It's almost certainly going to get better because there's a stage of suicidal where that's not believable. And so if you're at that fucking stage, the rest of the it might get better shit isn't even for you. When I'm at my worst and it might get better, this too shall pass rings hollow in my ears, then I take it as a challenge from God. It's the times that I've thought, okay, the rest of my life is going to be hell. It was to determine to stick it out heroically despite the fact that it will be torture the whole way through. You stick it out like that for a while, and then you get to a place where you might be able to hear what I'm saying now. But for anybody that's not that far gone, and if you're just coming across this, there's tons of footage of me in bad states on this channel. This past winter and up until about 12 days ago, I was struggling brutally. I was dealing with two demons. I was dealing with the adversary, a rage demon. You know, the negative emotions turned into the anger, the aggression, the wanting to attack outward. But I've also spent a lot of time tangling with what I call the screaming suicides. And I talked a bit recently. I don't remember which fucking videos, but some of the videos over the past few months, I described being in that state where what I'm about to say sounds like bullshit. Which is why I wanted to come on and show that, at least in my case, it got better. So I can remember at one point discussing how I know I've been this low before, and then I've come out of it and been in a state where it all seems worth it. Everything's better. And that I could remember that as like a fact, but it seemed like a fiction. It didn't fucking seem true. I went through some shit this year where I was in a state of just desperate to kill myself. Yeah, I don't need to describe what it felt like because this video is for people who are like that. And I remember talking to my angel and saying it feels like I'm in hell forever, that this is the rest of my life. And my angel at that point didn't give me the it'll get better. There's times when it gives me that. I can remember having a discussion with my angel where it's basically me saying, help, I'm in fucking hell, and this is going to last the rest of my life. My angel responded with, all right, and will you do that for us? If that's what you see. If it's hell from here on out, are you going to stick it out? And I was sticking it out like that for a while. fucking better for most of us. Like, unless it's the off chance, like you might be suicidal, tomorrow might be a worse day, the day after might be worse, and then you might get hit by a fucking bus. Believe me, I know. I've been hit by a bus. I've been struck by lightning. You can get taken out at any point. So it would be bullshit to guarantee you that it gets better. But for most of you, almost all of you, it'll get better. I'm still not getting enough sleep. Before it had been, I was not getting enough sleep because problems in my life and blah, blah, blah had me waking up after 4 hours of sleep, so tired with that fucking rage demon storming through my head, waking me up. Past couple weeks, I'm still not getting enough sleep, but it's in the good way. I get between 5 and 7 hours, and then I wake up all like so tired, but so fucking excited to meet the day. Things are going so fucking well for me right now. And I'm not going to go into the what's going well for me at the moment, but I can remember so much fucking time over this spring thinking, it doesn't matter what the fuck the pot of gold is at the end of this rainbow, it can't possibly be worth it. But right now, if I was told that I'm either going to die this afternoon or I've got to rewind the past 8 months of hell and relive them just to get right back here, I would. And the me from a few months ago would be shocked to hear me say that. It got a whole lot fucking better. Not only was it worth going through it once, yeah, I would go back and do it again to get where I am now. And sometimes depression, suicidal feelings, we don't take those as seriously as sometimes as we take the things you can see. Someone's been in a car accident. They know they need help. You go for help. Depression can be invisible to everyone outside of us. Depression can feel like it's not a real problem. Like it's just in my head. Suicidal feelings, just in my head. It's not a real problem. It's not something you go for help for. A problem with your car, you take it to an expert. Your pipes were leaking, you would call a plumber. If your house was on fire, you'd call the fire department. Those are obviously real problems. Sometimes it feels like depression, suicide's just in our head. That's where everything is. Look at Donald Hoffman's work. Everything that you think is in the world outside of you, that's all what you're creating inside your own head. There's nothing more real than what's inside your head. Depression is fucking brutal. Suicidal states are fucking brutal. And it kills people every fucking day. So if you're feeling suicidal, look for help. You don't know where to turn, start with family, friends. If you're religious, go to your priest or your mom or whatever. Therapist, psychiatrist, whatever works for you. And don't give up, because it's tricky with that kind of shit. You can go to someone for help, and they're not offering the kind of help you need. One man's medicine is another man's poison. Like, I've worked with more than one suicidal person, and what helps one person's going to hurt the other. If you go for help and it's not the kind of therapy you need, it's not the priest you need, it's not, try again. And if you don't know where to start at all, there's a link for our Discord in the description. So join our Discord. I'm Mercury Black. Send me a message and we'll arrange a free private session. If you feel like you can talk to me more easily than anyone else, I'm there for you. I had a few points I wanted to hit. Oh, fuck, and I can't tell if I hit them all. So I haven't had enough sleep. I'm kind of loopy, but in a good way. Reality's a little bit, well, before I was living in a reality where hell was overlapping Earth. You could think of it as being in an altered state, or you can think of it as being in another dimension. I'm in an altered state or another dimension the other way. Heaven's overlapping with Earth right now. So I can suddenly lose my train of thought very, very easily. And absolutely everything I've said up till now has gone out of my mind. So I'm going to assume I did hit the points I wanted to hit. I did wrap up on how to contact me if I'm the one to go for help. So I'm going to start looking through chat. And if there's anything else I missed and it's something that I'm supposed to fucking say, my angels will remind me. So first of all, to everyone here, 2 more V's. Oh, Haley, good to see you. Brian, Bravery, Conservative Heathen. Welcome all. I hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, I know most of you, so I hope you're here listening because just because it's your old pal Merc online, I hope all you dear friends are not suicidal. If anyone's here at the moment, yeah, it looks like it's all just community members here. I was kind of hoping this video catches someone new. Like the point of it was if someone's feeling suicidal, looking for videos on YouTube. So if somebody's new here, comment new here because I'm suicidal and I will pay attention to your messages. But unless I see that, this could be the end of the PSA about suicide, and this could just be me chatting with the community now. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Lots of love back to you, Haley. Okay, yeah, Conservative Heathen. It might get better, but it will change. It will. Fortunately, there's stages where it gets worse. There's stages where I've been suicidal, holding on to don't worry, tomorrow can't be the same as today. It'll change. And then it's worse, and you get dug in deeper. That was a good comment, Brian. Where are my manners? Hello to all of you. I hope that all of you have been well. Yeah, hopefully everyone here is well. But if someone's here and they're not, they're suicidal, speak up, because we're all here for you. Hello, Merc and fellow Mercanauts. I had not heard that one yet. Oh, okay, Haley isn't doing great. Haley says, been feeling so self-loathing lately. I just get numb to it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was hoping you were doing well. I saw one of the videos you posted, like a song you sang recently. All right, everybody send Haley some love. And sometimes the going numb to it is what you've got to do. There's time periods where like going numb and like riding it out a bit and resting is what you got to do. And it's not always time to fucking cheer somebody up. Sometimes somebody's got to ride some of it out first. Okay, Brian says that Ministry has a track called Change of Luck. It's from the album From Beer to Eternity. So how are you handling the getting numb to it, Haley? Are you going numb to it and like painting, or are you going numb to it and just staring at a wall? And so it's so heartbreaking sometimes to see the people who are self-loathing or depressed. Because not that I know Haley well, but like we haven't spoken. But I've seen some things she's posted, and I've seen a bunch of her art, and I've got a good feeling for Haley. And she is such a sweet soul. So much talent, so much potential, so many reasons to feel good about herself. She's so kind. And she's feeling so self-loathing. But sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart, good-looking, talented you are, how popular you are, successful. Like, look at Robin Williams killing himself. From the outside, it can look like, oh, how can that person possibly be feeling down about themselves? It's amazing what depression can do. So Conservative Heathen says to Haley, that gets rough. Hopefully you can find worth in yourself. Brian says, veteran suicides are way over 300,000. These are the veterans diagnosed with PTSD. Yeah, veterans are one category. Really bad for suicide. Trans people is another category. Really high in suicide attempts. Obviously bipolar, schizophrenic. Life can be rough. It can be so fucking brutal. Like Peterson likes to say, in one way, the most real thing is suffering. You can try to you can try to dismiss happiness as not being real. But when you're in pain, you can't dismiss pain as not being real. So we're going to work on making it less fucking of a stigma to talk about depression, mental illness, and suicide. And that's a good step towards reversing this trajectory of more and more people killing themselves. We'll talk about it. We'll make it clear there's help out there. And also just like in general, to everyone here. Everyone who hears this and thinks, because it's hard to work with suicidal people. Not everyone can do what I do, can do private sessions with somebody who's suicidal. Not everyone can do anything to, change the stigma of mental health. Not everyone can volunteer at a suicide hotline, which, by the way, I've had to use before. I've called suicide hotlines. There's one thing we can all do. You never fucking know who's walking around with this. Some people can hide it. They've got to go to work. They've got to take care of their family. No one saw it coming with Robin Williams. Like, I'm sure Haley could be walking down the street feeling just lousy about herself and looking like she's just fine. So the one thing we can all do is stop being a dick to anybody. Someone cuts you off in traffic, is holding up a line. Don't pick on the fucking weirdos. Don't take your bad days out on strangers. You never know what little thing is going to push someone over the edge. Like manners, courtesy. Treating other people like they're not obstacles in your way, but actually souls with thoughts and feelings. And being aware that you have no idea what the fuck people are going through. Don't accidentally be the final straw for somebody. And if you can, hold the door open. Do something kind for somebody for no fucking reason. You have no idea what it's like for somebody who's severely depressed. To have a stranger just treat them like they love them for a few minutes. It can change things. the agapic love that you can meditate on, love for everything. The more of us that can learn to walk around with agapic love so that we're treating everybody like somebody we love, because everybody is somebody we love. That simple change of, yeah. You never know when you might be saving a life. Okay, Carlo has a question. Mercury, what are your experiences with antidepressants and similar medication? Okay, so first of all, I am totally in support of people using psychiatric medicine if it helps them. To each his own. Whatever is good for people, I completely support. So if you're anti-pharmaceutical and all that, the big companies are evil and that shit, it's like, I get that point of view. But also, the world's imperfect. Sometimes you got to make do with the best we've got. And psychiatric because they don't know what the fuck to give you. It's not like they can run a blood test and know which fucking thing. It is like you sit down, you tell your symptoms, and they say, okay, these drugs sometimes help with that. Try this. See how it works. And then depending on your reaction, they either pull you right off of it or adjust the dose or add something else. So when it comes to psychiatric medicine, they're fucking guessing. It's not the same as like other kinds of medication. It's like some people I know who are on psychiatric meds who work for them, like they're happy with it. It took them years to find the right meds. But there is, I'm loopy. I might have the statistic off. So I'm making up the statistic, but I think this was roughly it. I think for like people with bipolar type 1, it's 30% of us never respond to medication. So for about 70% of, and within that 70, it's a range. Some people fucking psych meds fix them up. Like some people get lucky. They get the right psych med and yeah, and it just fucking works for them. Some people, it's like the first few they try don't work. It takes a while. Eventually they find something that works for them. But there's a percentage of lunatics like me where medication never helps. So I've been on antipsychotics. I've been on mood stabilizers. I've been on antidepressants, like a variety of all of them. When I'm totally out of my head, like when I'm in a psychotic break, absolutely, I need, like, I've been chained down to a fucking bed in a mental ward and injected with major antipsychotics. There's times where I've needed that to bring me back down. So antipsychotics have been necessary for me, like in the extreme cases, but nothing else has ever worked. Mood stabilizers, antidepressants, and shit like that. I would get the side effects. It's just, it hasn't worked for me. So I haven't taken any psychiatric meds in years. The only prescription that my psychiatrist is writing for me at the moment is for sleeping pills. So I have like prescription sleeping pills that are nice and strong that I can use when I need to. Now they're habit forming. You're not supposed to use them too much, blah, blah, blah. So I use them responsibly, like, and just when I need to, or sometimes just when I want to, but it's like, I don't take them every night, but I've got a prescription for sleeping pills, but that's the only pharmaceutical I'm being prescribed. Okay, wait, I'm rambling too long. Chat's filling up. Okay. We're going to go back to Haley, speaking to you all through my voice. Haley says, I'm having a hard time explaining the feeling, but the numbness is just an inability to want to help myself sort it out. I'm just continuing with my day, feeling like I have a little bully in my skull. I appreciate your words, Merc. Thank you. You're very welcome. I went through a lot of time with demons in my skull all day while I'm going through my day. Months of that shit. And yeah, if you want, Haley, we can talk because you're awesome. Like I would, even if you weren't not doing well, I'd love to just chat with you sometime. But since you're not doing well, if you want, write to me. We'll talk about this one-on-one, just you and me. Oh, the other option is if anyone wants to write into me, I have two options. One is you want like a private session, you need help with something, and it's like, we'll treat it like the psychiatrist office or a confessional booth. It's confidential. It's just you and me. I don't tell anyone what you said in there. Like, unless, of course, you say, yeah, you know, you can tell so-and-so I said that to get advice for me or whatever. But the other option, and one thing that my whole community would like, is if anyone's going through shit, like you could look up on our channel, what was it called? It was Angelina, me, and Ryan. I think it's called Escaping Hell or something. But and I've worked with suicidal people before I was with Sorting Myself Out. Angelina was the first person I worked with. But we recorded a session, me, her, and Ryan, where we talked about it. And it's still up. It's on the channel. So, like, for you, Haley, or anyone else, if you're, and not just for suicidal, like, if someone wants to talk to me about whatever, you know, any of these things I'm good at, because some people use the private sessions very much like a therapy session. It's very close to seeing a psychologist or a therapist, what we discuss. Some people are more interested in discussing like spiritual shit and magic and stuff like that. So it's like anything from sort of a therapist, psychologist type of thing that I'm doing over to like a priest or a magician. But it's like, all that's the shit I talk about on the channel. If you're going through it, someone else is going through it. Me just fucking, like, and some of the live streams I have up here are so embarrassing to some of my sub-personalities. Me crying or screaming or... But anyway, people write in that it fucking helps them. That, you know, me discussing what I'm going through helped them put words to what they're going through, makes them feel less alone. It can make a fucking difference. So if you want to have a private session where, and you don't have to decide if it's going to be uploaded until after. It's if you even maybe are willing to post it. We can record the session and then at the end of it decide. Also, if it's like, okay, I'm fine with all of it, just... this one section where, whatever, I talked about my sister, can we remove that? Yeah, it's enough on that. Conservative Heathen says, perhaps sometimes we as people need to be performative. That is, keep trogging along, being as polite to others as possible, and wait for your mood to come. And that's very nice of you, Brian. Your comments. I'm not going to worry about responding to everything. I'm feeling more scattered now. And I didn't intend to be on all that long. Okay, so Aquatic Plant Savage says, I happened to stumble across this randomly just now. Prop for you to doing this for people. You're spitting some wisdom. One thing I have found that's helped me is Wim Hof breathing method. Yeah, it's fucking, he's badass. And there's all kinds of breathing techniques. I talked to Dr. Amate. I forget which old video. But like he pointed out that so many different spiritual practices, different kinds of meditations, fucking magic rituals. One thing's like that all of this shit, yoga, all has in common is breathing. There's different breathing methods to achieve different results. Like Dr. Amate's, the one he uses the most, is it called baby breath? But it's, you totally relax your upper body. You just let the upper body go limp. And when you're breathing in, you're not filling your chest. Like when you watch a baby breathe, you just see the whole little tummy going in and out. You just breathe into your stomach really low. And you just breathe with your stomach. Now that breathing technique is very calming. And he says he used to be the kind of guy that like would cut people off talking, would talk too much, all of that breathing technique. And if you watch him in an interview or something now, he seems so natural. Like he never interrupts. He waits patiently. He speaks nice and slow and calmly. He said it was learning to do, maybe it's not called the baby breath or the belly breath or whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, learning and different breathing techniques do different things to you. And then it's also kind of like psych meds. One breathing technique will have sometimes a different effect on different people. So you can find different breathing techniques to help. But since you just stumbled across this, if you're still here, Aquatic Plant Savage, are you suicidal? Is that why you stumbled upon it? Or are you doing okay? And Conservative Heathen says, 8 years of hit and miss trials with my doctor, but I've found a mix of meds that works for me. Looking to quit smoking, which will F up the whole deal again. Yeah, and for me, I'm not going to quit smoking. Like for me, smoking cigarettes is not a vice. You will find that a lot of bipolar people and a lot of schizophrenic people chain smoke. So I consider this one of my plant meds. I do consider, I take 3 plant medicines fucking every day. So it's tobacco, marijuana, and caffeine. I consider those my medications. They help regulate myself. But I have to fucking chain smoke to lubricate my brain. Otherwise, it's very difficult to be in this meat suit. Okay, and Aquatic Plant had continued, I never knew how to cry and let out all of my trauma until I started doing breathing work. It's really helping. Fuck, I'm really glad it's helping. And yeah, that's another thing is like sometimes you got to cry, you got to scream. Like I live out in the middle of nowhere. I can't see any fucking neighbors. Like the states I'm in sometimes, what I have to do to process rage or depression, it's like sometimes there's times I have been lying on the fucking ground, crying and screaming at my angel for help. It's embarrassing. But sometimes you have to let that out, process it. I'm glad you found something that's helping. Okay, and so Brian, and I think this is back on the topic of psych meds, Brian said, I quit taking psych meds except for Xanax and marijuana. I was on Wellbutrin and Lexapro. I was prescribed a pain medication and put me into serotonin syndrome. Almost killed me. Yeah, psych meds can fuck you up. Or like, look what, I'm forgetting whatever the fuck it was Peterson was taking. And he ended up in Russia in a coma. Yeah, I agree with Conservative Heathen. Glad you're still here. Okay, Conservative Heathen said, anyone else gets so enraged with yourself, you end up scaring your significant other by saying, honey, save yourself and get away. You deserve someone that's not such a loser. I've never had that exact experience. Because for me, by the time I was dating again, like I was an absolute disaster. My first 2 cycles, like the first 6 years, my first 2 cycles were 3 years long. Like basically 1 year of mania building up to complete total psychotic breaks, and then 2 years of depression. 1 year mania, 2 years depression. Now my cycle lasts a year, and it's linked up with the seasons and the magical energy of the land, the life-death cycle, and I can handle it much better. But by the time I was dating, my life was built around the fact that I'm a complete fucking lunatic. And I was at the point by the time I ever started dating that I knew I could handle it on my own. So like, if I'm really, really, really not okay, it's everyone go away. Leave me alone. I want to kill myself. I won't, but I need to rage around. So for me, it's like, okay, everyone's got to stay away from me right now, but I'll be all right. Give me, whatever it takes, couple days, couple weeks. So I assume you said that because you've done that. Oh, wait, you just wrote something else. And yeah, I'll get to you in a second, Aquatic. Conservative follows up with, when that kind of phrase explodes out, it isn't until that point at which I can actually recognize that I'm torturing myself and others around me. I see my rage and cascade into depression/loathing. Okay, here's another important thing in general if you're crazy. But more so if you're crazy, but it's important for fucking everyone. Mindfulness meditation, like know yourself. We've all seen that person that's fucking yelling at somebody, like they're just in a rage, throwing some tantrum. And someone says to calm down, like someone says you're too angry, calm down, and they will yell at you, I'm not angry. It's amazing the way we can be overtaken by an emotional state. We can have thoughts in the back of our head just running in a fucking loop, and we are so disconnected from what we really are. We're totally identified with the elephant on the rider, the ego, that part that just sits in the front of the forehead. And that part at the front just ignores all the shit going on in the back. Just ignores the emotional state. Mindfulness meditation. Like look up Sam Harris or whoever the fuck you want to learn mindfulness from. Learn to, like, for the only way for me to handle being this fucking insane is I've had to learn to be mindful all the time. And so at this point, we're looking at like 11 years of working on this shit. And for me at the beginning, like Aquatic, you're new, you don't know this. After my second time getting locked up in the psych ward, I moved into this little house out in the country. It's not the one I'm in now. It's one road over. Like my parents rented it for me, moved me in there. Government had moved me onto permanent disability at that point. Didn't even have to ask for it. They were like, stop trying to work, stop. We don't want to be replacing cop car windows. We're just going to give you a disability check. Your full-time job is to take care of yourself. And so I didn't tell my friends where I was moving. I moved to this little place out in the middle of nowhere for 2 years. I had no phone. I had no internet. I had no car. My parents were one road over. My dad cashed my check, like my disability check for me. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what my rent was, anything. My dad just cashed my check, paid my bills, and my parents just dropped off all my supplies. And I lived like a complete hermit for 2 years. I told my siblings, my family, like the people who knew I was there, it was like, I'm sorry, I can't talk to anyone. So I was seeing nobody other than my parents, or, every 6 months going to the psychiatrist. 9% of 2 years entirely alone, no internet, no communication with the outside world. At the longest stretch between dropping off supplies, it'd be about 2 weeks. Usually it was every week, or, now and then my parents would just drop off a meal or something. But like at certain points, the longest stretch would be, every now and then it'd be 2 weeks. My dad would say, they're going somewhere or something, so he's bringing double, groceries, and it'll be 2 weeks before I see him. But then after that, it would just be like, I'd see him, he'd drop off supplies, leave, and then I'm completely alone again for a week. And since then, I've basically lived like a hermit. Like, I still don't go out. I started letting people into my life gradually, blah, blah, blah. But for me, the mindfulness meditation shit was serious. And like the first few years, I was a complete and total hermit. And it took, I can't even describe what it fucking took to learn to be mindful with the chaos inside me, to learn to fucking face it. But I need to always be aware of what my emotional state is. If I begin to feel just a little depressed, just a little manic, just a little, I have to notice it right away. And also, especially, if you're going to be a fucking magician, because you add all the powers to your thoughts and words, I always have to be aware of what's going on in the back of my head. Otherwise, I will be manifesting disasters. Now, that doesn't mean I can control it all. It's about okay. When I'm doing really bad and the adversary's active, the rage demon, I have the emotion of existence is fucking cruel. I want to strike out at God and everything. The thoughts run through my head. Destroy everything. Burn it down. I need to be mindful of those things. I need to be aware that's in the back of my mind so that I can consciously know what it is. That is not me saying that. It's not my higher self. It's not my inner core personality. I do not agree with this loop in the back of my head. If you let it loop and you're trying to ignore it, it fucking, it sinks in, it's affecting you instead. But to be fully present with it as well. To say to the adversary, I recognize your purpose within me. I hear you saying that. And yes, I see the reality you're making me see. I'm aware of that. But I do not agree with that. That is not the enlightened view of things. I'm going to be present with this, feel from this. I'm going to learn from you, adversary. But I am not going to act on this. I am not going to. And so it's a matter. In fact, yeah. Fuck, I forget his name, but there's a good magic teacher on YouTube where he says, and it's like, this isn't where I learned it, because I learned all my shit from like my angel in isolation. And then later started researching shit and was like, oh, wow, this is actually the real way to do it. But there's an excellent, is it Mind and Magic? Anyway, whoever the fuck it is, when you look at like his, I don't know if it's his first, like he had some video for beginners. He has some, like Vervaeke's Big Meaning Crisis. He has some big thing like that. But in the first one, what he says is, okay, if you're going to be, and he's obviously not talking to crazy people, because crazy people doing magic's a different thing. He's talking like he's kind of aimed at the average person. He says, look, if you're going to get into magic, the first thing you've got to do is be aware of what's going on in your own head. And he said, before you go any further with his video series, you need to spend 3 months where for those 3 months, you actually pay attention to every thought in your head and you say yes or no to them. You don't just let them go unnoticed, and you make choices. So if you have the thought, I'm going to eat a sandwich, then with that one, it's obvious. You say yes or no. But he points out, you have got to learn to hear what's going on in your head all the time. It's fine. You don't have to judge what appears. But you have to get in the practice of every time a thought comes into your head, you either say, yes, I agree with that and allow my energy into that thought, or no, I experienced that thought and I'm letting it pass. And I don't know if it's 3 months or 6 months or whatever, but he says before you even keep going in that shit, you got to do whatever of just that practice all the time. Get that down to where you don't have to remind yourself to be yes or knowing your thoughts. It's automatic. Everything that goes through your head, you're yes or knowing. Once you're doing that, you can move on with more magic. Okay, I'm going to get back to what Aquatic's been saying. And then I'm going to try to get going soon. Let's see where. Okay, so and I'd asked Aquatic if they were still here. I don't know if you're a he or a she, or a they or a zer. But I'd asked if you were here, you were suicidal. You said, no, I'm okay, I think. I'm just crying so much, getting over the pent-up trauma from COVID. And okay, so yeah, I'm glad you're okay. And you're just like processing. But if you want, there's a link to our Discord in the description. We've got an awesome fucking community, like, which I'm sure you can tell from the comments. Oh, hey, Nerdy Bird. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, anyway, you can join our Discord, and if you think talking with me would help, especially if you want to talk and we could record it or not, reach out to me. But also, there's lots of people in my community that have been through this kind of shit, and us all talk. They just, you guys knowing and talking to each other can be good for everyone as well. And Conservative says, when that kind of phrase explodes out, it isn't until the point. Oh, wait, yeah. I already read that. Yes, okay, right, because I went back for Aquatic. That makes sense. I'm sorry to hear that, Aquatic. Oh, excellent. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to read everything. If anyone's interested in what I just read, not out loud, read the chat. But then Aquatic says, one piece of advice I would like to share with everyone is have a willingness to accept you're not okay. That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, that's one of my catchphrases. It's okay to not be okay. Absolutely. It's okay. Like, coming to a place of acceptance of where you are now is the only way to move forward. And you say, yeah, have a willingness to know you are not well and there's much to learn. Anything that hurts you or you're upset about, just be willing to accept it for being there. Yeah, absolutely. And that's also part of that mindfulness. You can't do mindfulness without doing that as well. Because if you want to be mindful and you become aware of some desire you have that's wrong, or some part of you that you like, it's not okay for that part of you to exist. If you have a part of you inside, a sub-personality that you're not okay with, then you suppress it, you put it into the shadow, you get all fucked up. So to integrate, like to do Jung's integration or any fucking spiritual practice or therapy is going to, like, it requires to do mindfulness, you have to be okay with everything you fucking find. It's okay to be fucked up. It's okay to be desperate. It's okay to be suicidal. It's all okay. And then you can work from there. Conservative Heathen follows up saying, I got locked into it at times. In retrospect, it's scary. Slowly, I'm becoming more mindful. Thanks for the words. Much love. Much love back to you. I'm glad you're becoming more mindful. far behind am I? All right, chat's frozen. Okay, chat's moving again. Yeah, and see, even in the chat here, we're all helping each other. So maybe we should get the Discord more active. Brian says, it took others to point out to me that I exuded stress. I was a security contractor at the time, and one of my teammates gave me 5 little blue pills. He told me that it was Xanax and that Xanax saved him. Yeah, it's funny sometimes from the outside how obvious it is to everyone that someone's going through something. And if they're not mindful, they're actually not aware of it. It's not even sometimes that someone thinks they're hiding the fact that they're kind of depressed. There's some people walking around depressed and don't even actually realize they're depressed. Carlos says, one of the most valuable teachings from Peterson is that life is difficult for everybody. It's only a question of time until you get into a very difficult situation. It's a big relief for me to know that for everyone, a part of life is suffering. Absolutely. That's one of the things I like about Peterson too. Because some self-help people put out a message that's basically, hey, life is easy and wonderful. You're just fucking stupid. You're doing it the wrong way. All you need is the secret. All you need is, there's a lot of people that sell their fucking self-help that way. Yeah, life's a miracle. You're just a moron or you're just fucked up. You haven't been doing this, stupid. Do this, and then everything's wonderful. Bullshit. Thanks for coming, Aquatic. I hope you have a wonderful day. And Brian says, when I took that pill, during 20 minutes, I felt the anxiety and stress dissipate. It was like magic. Thus started my journey into the world of benzodiazepines for the first 3 years. Glad it helped. All right, let's see what Conservative Heathen said. Yeah, I think this will be the last thing I'll respond to, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I'm caught up, even though I skipped some shit. Sorry if I skipped anyone. Conservative Heathen says, I'm not a Discord person, but I've been fortunate enough to follow you for nearly 3 years now. Holy shit. You've helped me. Thank you. You are very welcome. And if by not a Discord person, you mean you're not the kind of person who would want to use Discord, then of course, don't join our Discord. But if you just mean you're not someone who's on the Discord, and for anyone who doesn't know what Discord is, because I didn't know what Discord was, also I didn't make our Discord, and I barely do anything there at all. It's like, that's run by the community and volunteers on the channel. So the majority of what's going on in our Discord, I have no idea what's going on there. I use the Discord for 2 things, our Discord. One is that's where everyone can message me. So I check my messages on Discord. The other is when I do live streams or when I do lunatic patrols, which is like having the Zoom meeting, getting together with whoever in the community wants to come. It's like it's a big fucking circling session in the community. When I do those kinds of things, I post them in announcements with an @everybody. So even if you don't want to talk to people and you don't want to message me directly, but you don't want to miss any of my live streams, or you want to be able to show up to the lunatic patrols, because at the lunatic patrols, everyone's free to leave their mic off and their camera off. So most people come to the lunatic patrol to talk and like to be part of it. So they're camera and mic are on. Some people like to talk, but they're too shy to have the camera on, so they just leave their camera off and they talk. But some people just want to be there and listen. And it's fine to just, you can show up, no, like, camera off, muted, and just listen to everyone there. So if you're interested in attending those events when they start up again, if you want to message me directly, you can join the Discord. And all you do is you click the link. It says you've been invited to Discord. You just put any fucking name you want. You can be anonymous. And then, yeah, you've got your little account. And once you've got it, you can read everything in our Discord. You can post if you want. And you can send direct messages to me, or lots of the community are talking to each other in messages on Discord now. So, and yeah, other than that, I don't know what the fuck goes on all over it. Like, I look through it a bit now and then, but there's all kinds of threads where shit's going on. So if you're interested, join the Discord. I think that wraps this up. I hope I did the PSA at the beginning right. I don't really remember. Well, whatever. It fucking is what it is. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. Very deeply meaningful for me to help people. Love you all. God bless. Lunatic love to all.